shop. Hello, gang. It is a nasty day, but we get to do the shop for a little bit before we go to work. I get to go ahead and prep the red car for its dyno a day early, which is awesome, and just get it put on the trailer and ready to go. Things we're doing today is checking a few leaks that we had fixed, changing the oil we did our first start oil, so we'll change that and do up and down the road oil, and then we'll change that at the end of the day before it goes on the trailer, and we'll have something good in it for the dyno for Tuesday. All right, fresh oil time. Before I got to it, I did realize that when this car fully cooled down, it did drain this all the way down to its cold level, or just a little bit below it. So I filled it up and bled, and there was a little air that had made its way to the top of the rad. So should be really pretty much bled now. We wouldn't have to worry so much. I was seeing 200 a good bit in there instead of like 175, 180. So I knew there was a little air, and that might be it.
That's completely water. That's oil. What in the fuck? That sucks. All right, new head gasket, I assume. Not the end of the world, but we got a lot of work to do.
Just give me like 1 minute. All right, I'm just gonna do a little time lapse. The cams are all out. Everything's unplugged. All I have to do is remove the turbo parts off the bottom. Most of them, I'll leave the hot side. But the core, the cold side, stuff like that. We're about hour or two in. Got the head off. Thank goodness I didn't just go cranking it over. It did not seal correctly. And you can see that here because of the water. Oh shit, all right. Let's clean it up. The head itself just needs to have the manifold pulled off, and it's ready to go to the machine shop. Since we're not taking anything out, he's not doing a valve job or anything like that. He's doing me a solid, and he's putting me in front of everyone else, and so I can drop it off tomorrow, and he'll have it done. Hopefully, he said by the following day. He said if it's just a skim, he can do a 1-day turnaround. And then it looks like this header manifold I had done, when we went and threw it back on the other day, this little section right here ended up pressing into the head gasket and got sandwiched. May have accounted for the reason why it was just a little offset when they set it on, or when we set it on. But this damage right here, I bet you it being set up and broken here was what caused fluid to go. Right here on the header shield. Man, it really smoked the gasket. Look at that. So it bent out the bottom part. It pressed from the top there and cracked the bottom. So essentially, I think that was our main failure point for this one, because everything else looks pretty great. I think it just didn't seat correctly. And once it heat cycled, you know, and it lifted a little, and it did that before we could torque it again. We showed up this morning thinking we were going to test drive the car up and down the road and put it on the trailer. And a couple hours later, the head's off it. That is just how it goes sometimes. But at least we can get it slapped back together pretty quickly. The head will be skimmed. We'll have a fresh head gasket, and we will get it all back together here shortly, maybe Friday or the weekend. It's not like we had to pull the motor or the wiring harness or anything really major to do this. So yes, it's a setback. Yes, I'm an idiot, but not so bad. We'll have it fixed in no time, and we'll have a new one of these in the mail in just a few days, and we'll throw it all back together. Until then, I'm gonna focus on cleaning up the head surface here getting all the water out, everything nice and dry, turn it over a bunch, make sure it's good, make sure the pan's all dry. You know, just anything I can to make sure this is healthy and ready to go for when the head is ready. Okay, it is literally 24 hours later or less, and I have the head in the back seat there. It is perfectly skimmed and flat, didn't even fully skim, like my firing cuts out. And now that it definitely skimmed them out to a point where I can set new ones and it'll be great compression, but you can kind of see them still. That shows how little the head really needed to be good. So really appreciate my guy Brad up there at Brad's Automotive. For reference, it was a $75 24-hour. Can't beat that. He's an awesome guy. So let's get back to the shop, throw this head back on, get everything plugged back in, and we'll do another first start and break in, and we'll start driving up and down the road. Like I said, just give me one more time lapse. We'll throw it back together. Look at that. So nicely skimmed. You got that side? All right. Get the roll. Now put the exhaust manifold out this way. Yep. Perfect. Now I can put the exhaust manifold back on. You can still see just a hair of that firing like I talked about, but I mean it is, you can barely feel it with your fingernail. This is going to be perfect to reseal everything. Sounds like it there. Sounds like it there. Woo! Almost forgot my 2 vacuum lines that go to the manifold here. I've got one for the fuel pressure regulator and the boost gauge. And then I have one that I gotta trim this off and then put one here. This is for my ECU. And then I have an extra one here, just in case. All right, let's do my trick. Let's do the trick. Let's pour some oil in right to the middle here, even though I have put them already, and it is pretty close to full. We'll just do a little bit more, and that might help. All right, round 2. There it is. Fuel pressure time. We're tight here, and we're tight here, and those are the only ones we undid this time. We gotta check the fuel pressure sensor right there, and then we'll check our feed and return lines off our return lines off the rail. Then we'll climb underneath and we'll check the fuel filter, and we will check the ethanol sensor. Whew. Well, it's clearly turning over fine. Sounds like it has a ton of compression. We have no fuel leaks that I can see. We have no oil leaks that I can see. The only issue we may have is possible coolant leaks. Once we get that up to temp, we'll find those. Oh yeah, let's start it. Let's see what happens. I got a fire extinguisher there, and over there, right there. Sound like it did one of those things where the ECU has to be reset and it did a little backfire. Woo! Pressure's good. No fuel leaks. No exhaust leaks. No misfire. Listen to that idle. Woo, yeah, baby.
All right, I really hate this part, but we gotta do it. Luckily, I'm not seeing anything here. All right, life is good. Remember, huge ring gaps, so that little bit of blow-by, very normal. Especially with ethanol getting up in town. Looking good here. How are we on Oil Town? 118. Cool. So I ran out of camera space right near the end there. So we let it run until everything was, oil got up to like 160 and 155, and I had solid coolant temps at around 180, 190. So we're good. I shut it down. I'm letting it fully cool down. I'm checking for any leaks. I'm not really seeing any though, which is cool. And then once it's fully cool, we'll drain the oil and pray everything looks good there. And if it does, we'll change it out and start driving it up the road and load it and get it ready for the dyno. Just me and my buddy admiring. It's a good day, right? Hard day. Hard day for both of us. Yeah, I'm having a hard day. Oh gosh. I'm nervous to drain the oil after what I went through last time, so I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. Let's hope for the best. Oh, let's go. Let's go. That looks great. Let's go, buddy. Ooh, look excited. I'm excited. Come on. Let's go. It is just clear. There's no water. There's no issues at all. Honestly, it's looking really good. I'm pretty happy. I think we have a good plan for next time I'm here, which will probably be tomorrow morning. I will hopefully go ahead and compression test. Then I'll do a coolant pressure test to make sure we have no leaks there. We'll get some VR1 or T4 or something of that nature, some better oil, and we'll fill it up. Then we can drop it off the jack stands and go drive it up and down the road a bunch. I'll take a lot of video there, of course, and we'll get it nice and hot, beat it up a little bit, make sure everything's good, a bunch of decel, because supposedly that helps set rings. And then we will load it up on the trailer and take it over to DBW and have Doug make some corrections to the maps that he says he needs to do, because there's a lot of issues there. And then we got a lot of fail safes we're going to implement that weren't there from the previous guy. Knock detection, fuel pressure, things like that. And then I also got an ethanol sensor that I wired in incorrectly the first time. I had it to a AN volt, and it needs to be a digital input. So I swapped that around, used a DI out of the link expansion harness. So we just need to do the calibrations for that flex fuel sensor. And then I think that's everything I really need done within in terms of electrical stuff. I was real worried about the ECU voltage being low, so I will send some logs out to him tomorrow when we do some street driving. And we'll see if he gives me the go-ahead with my new grounding to bring in the car. So cool. I appreciate you guys. This is honestly a lot of fun. Not that cutscene part. That's not fun. But doing the YouTube, building these cars, it's fun. So I'll do my best, and hopefully as I keep going, this gets better. Until then,